Good morning. Happy Monday.
Monday.
Holy smokes. I feel like, we talk about this pretty much every Monday, but it just like flies by and then it's Monday again. And then
How is this the last Monday of September? I was telling my kids that this morning, that I'm like, this week is going to be October. How? What aren't we still in March?
I know. It's like the longest, shortest year of the world, because it's like 2020 started in like really March, when everything kind of went shit show, and then it's just been like so quickly. I can't believe it.
But at the same time, it feels like a drag. So it's this like bizarre. Everything about 2020. Let's be honest, everything about 2020 is weird.
Exactly.
But yeah, exactly. I read something the other day that it's like, this many days till Christmas, and I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm. I know, it's so crazy how the time just is flying by. I had to get the schedule for our online classes organized, and somebody said to me, I think on Friday, they're like, when's the schedule coming out? I'm like, I got lots of time. And they're like, yeah, it's like next week. I was like, oh crap. So time flies by. It is definitely, but it's Monday again, and we love starting our Mondays off with our coffee chats. And today we were talking about habit stacking, or stacking your habits for success. I already had a few questions being like, what's a habit stack? What does that mean? And I was like, be patient, come to the coffee chat.
Yes, right?
I know everybody wants to know what it's all about, but
it's funny because I had actually messaged Lindsay this morning, because we came up with the topic, and then she came up with the title for it, and I was like, what are we talking about? I'm sorry, I'm confused. So I'm here to learn also.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things where there are many, we're talking universities, professors at universities, studies and research and stuff, because habits are such a huge part of our world. Whether you think you have them or not, you have positive, negative, good, bad, indifferent. We have habits happening all the time. So we want to talk a little bit about it, because we hear a lot within our community, how can I stop doing this or start doing that? How can I, do my meal prep when I don't really love meal prep? Or how can I get exercising when I don't really want to do those things? And so that's really about building the habit of doing whatever it is you want to do. So really quickly, there's 2 books if you want to know more about this, because as with everything that we do, we only have about 20-25 minutes to chat in our coffee chat, and there's so much more to it than that. So Atomic Habits by James Clear, really, really great book. Highly recommend reading that one. And then it's called Mini Habits, Small Habits, Big Results, by Stephen Gleis. So those are the 2 that I really, really recommend if you're looking for more information on this. And then as well as in our Get Your Shit Together planning party tomorrow, if you're not already joining, this is our last day before we start tomorrow. We're going to be doing a hands-on workshop on habits and the 1% rule, and how to kind of put this into play into your own real world life. So if you haven't got on board with that, it's such a ridiculously low price. Come and join us, because we're actually going to be doing an actual hands-on planning process. So that will be super fun. I can't wait for that one. Okay, so Christina, tell me, let me put a disclaimer on that. Christina had a really crappy night with her puppy last night, so it might not be today. So let's go back to Thursday. Thursday morning, what do you do when you wake up in the morning?
So the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is we actually lay in bed and talk about like our intentions for the day. That it's not something I've ever really done before, but it's something we've been doing for the last couple of months, and I find that it works well. So we talk about like what our plan for the day is and what we intend to get accomplished in the day. So that is step 1 always, that Dallas and I have a conversation every morning. And then I get up with the annoying puppy, who I'm not very happy with today. And we come downstairs and I let the dog out. And as he is outside, I make my coffee. And that is my first thing that I do every morning, that I have coffee with collagen. And that's step 1. Before my kids get out of bed, I need to at least have a few sips of glorious coffee before my children come downstairs, and then we move on to the rest of it. But even with my kids, I very much have, anybody that knows me knows that I'm a bit of a control freak. So I very much have a very rigid morning routine, and that's kind of the start of it. So that's my stuff before we move into the children's stuff.
Yeah, and so the reality of that is that's habit stacking. right? The dog being let out, getting the coffee, talking about the intentions. And it's interesting because we all do it, whether we know it or not. So I'll give you an example. You wake up, you have a shower. In that shower, you put shampoo in your hair. After shampoo, you put conditioner in your hair. After you condition your hair, or while you're letting it sit, you shave your legs. You dry off, you get dressed.
Supposed to do that. Missing
I'm talking purely hypothetical, because I have none of those things. But so let's say that's what you do. That is stacking your habits, right? So somebody who really wants to shave their legs will get into the shower and they'll start doing the process. But we don't ever think about that because it's part of our daily always, right? We always
it's funny because you would never put the conditioner in before the shampoo. You would never shave your legs before. Like the steps don't get out of.
It is. So that's really where I want to kind of start, because you wouldn't shave your legs before you wash your hair. You wouldn't dry yourself off before you put the conditioner in. The habits are stacked in a particular order to have the best outcome, which is exactly what stacking habits for success is all about, right? Finding the things, whether it's in, like, again, even in an evening routine, you brush your teeth, you wash your face, you put cream on your face. I love that. I make lists. I love lists. We're going to talk about that in a minute. You get into bed, maybe you read a book, maybe you scroll Insta stories. I don't know what you're doing in an evening, but then you go to sleep, you turn the light off, and hopefully that's how it plans. So we do all of these stacking habits all the time without even realizing it. But now what we're talking about is how do we then take the things we want to try to do and put them into the day that we have in terms of our habit stacking, or how do we take the things we don't want to be doing and somehow get them out of our habits, right? So really, really important thing is talking about our mini stacking habit session, okay? And so if you think about it this way, we talk about all the time where if it's like, if you go big, right? It's funny, right? Go big or go home. Well, the truth is you are going home. It doesn't work. It really doesn't work. So if you turned around to me and said, okay, I really want to start meditating. It's going to be 20 minutes. I'm going to go to a very quiet place. I'm going to put on my headphones. I'm going to not let anybody disturb me, and I'm going to do it. And I'm going to be like, no, you're not. Right? It's just not going to happen, because I promise you, you've got a big amount of there. Even though 20 minutes sounds like not a lot of time, guys, and everybody always says it only takes 20 minutes. And I'm like, yeah, somebody does shave their legs before they shampoo. Well, there you go. See,
but that's your habit stack.
Exactly. So you do it before shampoo. I do it when I do it. Well, the conditioner's in my hair, because I let the conditioner sit in my hair for a little bit, and then I shampoo. Anyways, I digress. So I have been known to go really big only to falter and fail and fall flat on my face. And I can tell you this because I've been there, done that, right? So when I first started, I wanted to do yoga. I wanted to meditate. I wanted to write, a chapter or more in my book for the book that I want to write. I wanted to read. I wanted to walk. I wanted to do all of these things, right? It's kind of like New Year's resolution. We want to do all of these things. Well, guess what would happen? Like 2 days in, I was like, right? I was completely burnt out, not interested in doing anything more. So if you start slow and intentional, right? Show up 5 minutes. We call it a mini session, 5 minutes, right? In the books, they talk a lot about, somebody did 1 push-up, and you're like, well, what the hell's 1 push-up going to do? Well, over 15 days, it's 15 push-ups that you weren't doing before. And then you build on that, and maybe 2 push-ups, and then maybe 3 push-ups, right? And then you build on, you build on, you build. But it's all about the small habit changes. And that's really, really important. As you go through, you want to be in a place where that you are building it and building it and building. I was saying to somebody the other day, they're in this meditation challenge, abundance meditation challenge. And she set her alarm. She set the notifications up on her phone, so they come in via WhatsApp, and the notification comes up. So the habit stacking portion of that was that as soon as the notification comes up, she takes a photo of it, and then she puts her phone down. Because it might not come in at a time where right away you can go and do that thing. But so she's put them together. Another really good one is I have clients who fail to take their medication or their vitamins all the time. We know this, right? You know what it's like. So who is not going to have a tea or a coffee or Diet Coke or whatever it is you have in the morning, your morning thing, without a day? There's never a day. There's never a day that I go without putting a tea, right? I don't drink coffee, into my cup. So putting when I was on prescription for my earache, I put the prescription bottle on top of my upside down mug. Because guess what? I got to take the pill off to open up the mug to put the stuff inside. And then that was how I stacked my habits of learning to remember to take my pill to having my tea, which I know I always have. Same with coffee. As I said, one of my clients, she's really big on her evening routine, and she's actually got a pretty good go with that. So then I said, take your pills and put them on top of your journal. Because in the evening, when she goes to sit down in her bed, when she's ready for bed, she grabs her journal and she goes to writing it. Well, there's her pills. Pop her pills. Sounds really good. And then write in her journal. And that's how you stack your habits. But it doesn't have to be monstrous, right? For example, if you wake up in the middle of if you wake up in the morning and you go for a pee, let's be honest, we all do. Usually that's what wakes me up in the morning. You grab your phone and you plan out your day, or you plan a meal, or you plan a grocery shopping list. So every time you're going to the bathroom, I have a client that I have what's called her washroom workout. I don't know if washroom is an American friendly term or not, but basically when you go to the toilet, she goes and she does, as long as it's at home in a clean space, she does, a certain number of push-ups, a certain number, like on the wall, some squats. And so she has got that as part of her routine stacked with her toilet because she has to go to the bathroom on a regular basis. That's just how it works. So that's really kind of how I want you guys to think about the different habits that you have throughout your day. Now, as I said, Get Your Shit Together planning party, we're going to talk about good and bad habits, how to change a bad habit into a good habit, why we have habits and what they, mean to us in terms of different cycles like we have in our habit cycle plan. We're going into a lot more detail there. But today I want you to really think about what habits you currently do, which, as we said, some shave their legs before they shampoo, make lists. What habits you currently do, and then I want you to think about what are the habits you'd like to try to incorporate. Like, are you I forget to take my vitamins every single day person? Are you I want to go for a walk, but I just never seem to get my butt off the sofa, right? Those type of things. And then we're going to work towards how you can stack those within different parts of your day. What do you do every single day, right? Christina puts the dog out, sometimes with her foot. No, just kidding. Kick him out. But always have a coffee. Try to have at least 2 sips of a coffee, right? There's always things that she does, whether it's morning, afternoon, evening. And we were just talking about, when you kind of start winding down when it's time to go pick up the kids from daycare, for example, right? There's always the things that go on just before it happens, whether we know them or not.
And I know for myself, one of the things that works really well with habit stacking is to put habits and things that I want to do combined with things that I don't want to do but need to do. So if I put the wants and needs sort of together, so music is a huge thing for me. So again, when I put music to my workouts, it makes that more of a habit. So I try to, and music with cleaning is another one. I don't love cleaning my house. Find me someone that does, but not this girl. But it needs to happen. I won't live in filth. So I'm like, okay, my house, although you can see my crumpled up paper behind me right now, maybe you think that I can. But regardless, so I find that if I can stack those things together, that if I'm like, I don't just listen to music just laying on the couch, but if I want music, because that's a big thing to me, then I stack it with things that I don't love doing, like cleaning the house or working out. And that makes me do those things. So I allow myself like the positive as well as, I don't want to necessarily say the negative, but the things that I don't want to do as much. Another thing that we had talked about a couple months ago in another event that we did, we had talked about momentum and habits, and like that, you're not just going to get results by changing things overnight, but it's not going to be like, I don't like working out, but I'm going to now love working out because I should. That these are, so we talked about creating a habit to make working out happen for you so that gradually you develop momentum in those workouts. So then you keep with it. That just saying that I need to work out and working out is something, or meal prep, or, whatever, that these are things that I should do, so I'm just going to do them. Well, that doesn't work. So you have to be able to create a habit to make yourself do that, to gain momentum so that you'll continue to do that, so that you'll get results. But results aren't going to happen just by saying that you're going to change something, because let's be honest, if you're not meal prepping right now, there's a reason why you're not doing meal prep. It's not that, you can just say, like, Lindsay has never been a huge meal prepper, that it's not been her thing, but we've created some habits around meal prep so that meal prep now does happen more naturally in her life. So it's, one of those things that just, if you can create the habit that gets you there, and then you get the momentum and build on that, then you'll end up making that more a part of your everyday life. So those are things that we are going to talk about, again, in the planning party tomorrow. Specifically, meal prep is something I'm going to talk about, and building that into your life and creating, figuring out how to go from I should do this to I am successfully doing this. And I found a way to make it work for me. And the way that I make meal prep work is not going to be the same way Lindsay makes meal prep work. It's not going to be the same way Vicky makes meal prep work. It's not going to be the same way Sarah makes meal prep work. That it's not going to work the same for everybody. But you need to figure out how to stack your own habits to make this work. And for some people, doing that one big meal prep session once a week is an awesome way to do it. Other people, that is so overwhelming and it's never going to happen. So we need to figure out ways to make this happen in your life, including we're going to be giving out a worksheet to everybody, and we're going to talk about personalizing it. That is the big thing that's going to happen tomorrow night in this Get Your Shit Together party, is that it's going to be personalized to you. So we're going to give ideas of ways to do it, but ultimately you are going to create your own plan going forward that works in your life, that you can take your, current reality and make it into something that's going to make you successful. That using my reality isn't going to be successful for you. I work from home. I have young children. We don't have a picky household. We will eat pretty much anything. So those things aren't necessarily going to work for you because maybe your household is really picky. Maybe you're on a different budget than I'm on. Like there's all of these different things. Maybe you can get different foods. I mean, we don't get in the winter a ton of fresh fruits and veggies that are really great quality. Shopping once a week in the winter doesn't work for us because our stuff goes rotten before we can eat it because it's already been shipped from Mexico or Florida or California or whatever. So the way that I do things isn't going to work necessarily for you. So we need to figure out what works specifically for you. And that's what we're doing in this planning party that Lindsay and I have never done before, is showing you how to make your own plan that's going to be successful for you.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. I mean, it really is. And I'm excited because that, we've always given you the information, right? You know that, like our coffee chats every single week. If you go to our blog, you can watch coffee chats every single week, minus a few holidays, all the way back till January. We give you lots of information, but taking that information and figuring out how to do it for yourself, that's what we're doing tomorrow. And I think it's going to be really, really awesome. And I mean, like Christina was saying about putting like positive and negative together, that's a really big one too, that we will be talking a little bit more about tomorrow. But this is the thing I want you to think about, right? I always say, I love personal development. I love listening to audiobooks. I love, but I also like listening, watching or reading the smutty romance novels too. I like doing them both. But here's the thing. I use audiobooks for doing the things I don't like to do, washing dishes, folding laundry, all of those things, because I love listening to audiobooks. So for me, especially if it's a good one, don't be afraid to can a bad one, guys. I've done it many times. But I'll be like, oh, I have to do the dishes, and I'll pop in my earphones and I'll start doing the dishes and I'll listen to the audiobook, or have to do the laundry or whatever. It gives you something else to stack, as Christina said. And that's a big one. Music is there. Audiobooks can be there. You can be doing things that you absolutely love. Like some people are like, I love this show on Netflix, right? And then maybe you decide that the only time you're allowed to watch it is if you're on a bicycle or a treadmill or something like that. So you stack them together and make them part of your habit.
I have a coffee habit that I stack, so I quite enjoy coffee. This morning, they have a coffee truck that parks outside of my kids' school once a week that serves ridiculously expensive coffee. But this morning, I'd already drank my coffee, and my rule is that I can drink a coffee, but then I can't have another coffee until I've drank half my water for a day. I was pounding water this morning when my girlfriend texted me and said, the coffee truck's outside school today. It's usually outside school on Wednesdays. So I was like, oh my gosh, I have to drink all this water so I can have a second coffee. So that's one of my habits that I stack. I mean, is the world going to end if I don't drink all that water? No, but it's just in my brain now. These are the things that go together. I can have more coffee when I've drank my water. So that I've done all of these and I just make little deals with myself about all of this stuff. And it works really well for me in knowing that, yeah, I have to do this before I can do this. And so it's this little reward-based system that I have for myself. And it does work really well for me. In terms of holding myself accountable for things. So finding things like that to stack your habits on. Like Lindsay said, reminding yourself to take medication. I also have put out many, many times my food and drink schedule. That when I was in my loss phase and I was really strict about when I ate and drank, that I had a schedule and I literally set timers for my schedule. So that was another habit they had. I found if I set a timer on my phone, it wasn't very successful for me because this is how far my phone usually is away from me. So it was very easy to just turn off the alarm. So I would actually set the timer on my stove in my kitchen so that when the timer went off, I had to go to my kitchen to turn off that timer anyways. And then I'm already in my kitchen. So I'm probably going to eat or drink or do whatever I'm supposed to do because I'm already there. I've already been taken away from whatever I'm doing to go to my kitchen. So that's the thing that I find a lot of people, one of the habits that people forget to eat, or they don't eat at a proper schedule during the day, and then at night they end up binging. This is a big one that I work with clients a lot of the time, that they're like, I haven't eaten enough all day, so then at night these binge behaviors come up, and because your body's in a depleted mode, so it needs to make up for that. So you start having a lot of nighttime cravings. You often crave high fat or high sugar foods because your body just wants that quick fix. So this is something that if you eat on a regular schedule all day long, it's something that helps. So creating that habit of, every time I go to the bathroom, I'm going to refill my water. Well, that's kind of a good cycle to get in, because if every time you go to the bathroom, if you work at like a desk job, say, every time you get up to a bathroom, you refill your water, well, then you're going to have to go to the bathroom again, then you're going to have to refill your water again. So it's just one of these things that works really nicely together. So there's little habits that work really well together. Every time, again, you work at a desk job, so maybe you're having a hard time getting your steps in all day. So you take a longer route every time you go to the bathroom. That's another one that it could be like, this is something that I'm going to do every single time I do this. And, maybe eventually, the first few times you only get, say, 100 steps in every time you go to the bathroom. But then you do that lap twice instead of just once. Or, there's just little things that you can build on all the time. Or like Lindsay said, every time you go to the bathroom, you do 10 squats. Like, there's little things that you can do that are just going to make your life easier, especially now that a lot of you are working from home, that there's different things that you can do that maybe you didn't do before. I know there's certainly days where I feel like I'm sitting on my butt all day. Today is one of those days where I have a lot of computer work to do, where I am going to be sitting here a lot. So I went out and got my 5,000 steps in first thing this morning. I did an extra walk this morning. I didn't want to. I've been up since 2 o'clock in the morning with my damn dog. But it was important that I'm like, I know I'm going to be sitting on my butt a lot today, so I have to get my day started with these things. So creating habits for yourself. And that's one of the things that I've worked really hard on. Dallas and I setting our intentions every morning is something that's been really important, that I just felt like in the COVID life that our day was just chaos all the time. And I was just scrambling to keep up with the chaos. And as a control freak, chaos doesn't go real well in my life. So I needed to have more structure in my day. So Lindsay and I sat down together and planned out more structure in our business day. And then Dallas and I started planning more structure in our day-to-day. Of course, there's still, I don't have every second of my day planned, but it's more, what do you want to accomplish today? What's important to you? And then at the end of the day, we do the same thing where we say, we set our intentions this morning of what we wanted to do. What did we actually get done? And was there a disconnect? And what could we do, to kind of make that better tomorrow? Lots of days there is a disconnect, and I'm like, I want to get all this done today, and then it was like I didn't get any of that done. But I find setting the intention and then checking in with the intention are small habits that I've been able to do that have made me feel less chaotic.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to go back really quickly what Christina said about the reward. It's interesting. Again, we're going to talk a little bit more about this tomorrow, but they use something called the habit loop, which is a cue, a craving, a response, and a reward. And that's exactly it, right? You satisfy, and we all know cravings in the sense of like, I'm craving that sugar. I eat the sugar, I feel better. But the truth of the matter, everything we do has a cue, a craving, a response, and a reward. Just like drinking the water before having the coffee, that's the reward for it. So the more you can make the reward amazing, the better it's going to be. And then of course, we're going to talk about how to stop some of the bad habits tomorrow as well, by making it specific as well. But the thing is, when it comes to all of these type of habits, and Christina actually talked a little bit about it, it's called pattern interrupt. So when she had to get up and go turn off the alarm in her kitchen, she's already got away from what she was currently doing. So then she might as well do something else. I know somebody had said to me, I set all my alarms on my phone for my water, right? But it's almost like I completely ignore them on a regular basis. Well, the truth is, yes. And not everybody gets a kitchen, which is great. So at her work, she didn't have a kitchen. So what I actually had said to her was, I was like, change the ringtone to the alarm, because it will be a pattern interrupt. And then you'll be like, what is that noise? And then you'll look down and you'll be like, oh yeah, I have to drink my water. Where what happened in the past was that the noise went up. She's like, oh, water time, off, and then continued along her way, because she was so focused on what she was doing. By doing that pattern interrupt, you automatically pull yourself out of whatever it was you're doing, and you go on to your merry way. So again, if you don't have a kitchen, maybe you're at work, doing something like that where you just have a pattern interrupt, changing it up, and then moving on to whatever that habit stack is.
I've also focused a lot with people when people get cravings in terms of food, like, so I work with a lot of one-on-one nutrition clients, and one of the things that we've done is try to program in a pattern interrupt for people. So I'm craving something, and before reacting to that craving and satisfying and fulfilling that craving, that naughty craving of sorts, that you're like, I really want a piece of cake right now, and like there's cake in my fridge right now, which there actually is. There's cake in my fridge right now, and I really want to eat that. So instead of just fixating on that craving, to interrupt that craving in some way. So whether it's, we have a lot of people that I'll tell to go to our group and like post in our group and talk about the craving, go to a journal, write down your craving, literally as much as pick your favorite song and play your favorite song. And if at the end of that song, you're still feeling, because a lot of it is emotional, like triggers that I've talked to people about. So if you're still feeling really stressed out, really whatever, read your Bible is another one that I have quite a few clients that will go to that, because again, it gives them inspiration, it gives them motivation, whatever. Look at pictures, so flip through pictures or quotes, like there's all kinds of things. So interrupt those thoughts of I'm fixated on this craving and this is where I want to go. So interrupt it with something that's more joyful for you, that it's, I'm getting joy another way. Phone a friend, like do something to interrupt that craving, and to, put your brain on a new pattern of thought. So it's, again, music is a big one for me, that I know, like, motivational books and stuff like that work for other people, quotes work for people, pictures work for people, whatever it is, but interrupt that pattern and give yourself something else to fixate on for a few minutes. And then often that craving does go away, because you've interrupted that. You're just not so fixated on it. And that does tend to help for a lot of people. The other one that I talk about a lot in coaching is make things more difficult for yourself when it comes to cravings. So if you walk into your pantry and your chocolate chips, this is one that I hear a lot of people say, that chocolate chips are just, right eye level, fully accessible. You grab the bag, you take a handful, you shove them in your face, and there you go. Well, you know what? If you put those chocolate chips on a super high shelf or a super low shelf where you're not seeing them every single time you walk in, or you put the chocolate chips in the freezer so they're frozen, so it's not just as easy to just grab a handful of them and shove them in your face. So if you make those things more difficult for yourself, you're not going to do it as mindlessly as you were before. So you're interrupting those habits, those patterns. I know I think I had talked about this on a coffee chat a couple of months ago or a month ago, that my kids had bought Fruit Loops, or I bought Fruit Loops for my kids, for cereal. And so it was in our pantry, and every time I walked in, I was grabbing a couple Fruit Loops and putting them in my mouth. And I'm like, why am I doing this? I literally moved the Fruit Loops to a different place in the pantry, and it's been well over a month since I've eaten a Fruit Loop. So it was just literally interrupting that habit, that every time I walked into my pantry, I was grabbing those, and now I just don't do it anymore because they're just not in the same space. So I interrupted that habit, and created, I didn't even actually create a different habit. Like, it's not something else that I'm going to instead. It just literally went away. And it was that simple. It's not always that simple, but sometimes it is. So trying those different things to try to interrupt those things that you're doing that are less desirable habits are also something that you can do. So it's not just creating good habits, but it's also getting rid of the bad habits that you have.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, guys, we're coming to the end of our coffee chat. I just want to remind you that our Get Your Shit Together party is tomorrow. We start tomorrow evening. You are able to join, obviously, live. If you are not able to join us live, there is going to be all the information in the group for as long as the group is active. We always say this, if people are still interacting, the information will be there for you, forever. So if you can't make it live, definitely come and join the group anyways. You can be a part of that. If you have any questions about that or any of the stuff we talk about, remember, we always send out an email on Thursdays and a blog post on Saturdays. I know we talked about the blog post last week and somebody was like, what blog post? I'm like, what? We have it every single week.
I think it's sassevolution.com/blog. I think is all it is. So very, very, very easy to get to. And there's lots of reading. So, if you're sitting on the toilet and you need something to read, there it is.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And as we said, we offer lots of information. We give you lots of information, but tomorrow we are basically getting you to say, here's all the info. Now what do we do with it? So that's what tomorrow is all about. So get your shit together planning party, guys. It is tomorrow. We're super, super excited. We have all of our stuff almost ready to go. We're super pumped for it. So let us know if you have any questions. Otherwise,
if you have already joined the planning party, you will be added to the group today. So check your email today and watch for Facebook notifications. And if for some reason you didn't get into the group and you paid the $10 for the planning party, make sure to reach out to Lindsay or I so we get you in that group. That sometimes Facebook isn't super cooperative. So we're doing our best to get you there. We're sending the email in a little while. You should get it. And then, like I said, you'll be added to the group today if the link doesn't work in the email. That last time we added people to a group, it didn't work for some people. So we just want to make sure everybody that's joined gets in that group. If you have any questions at all, reach out. And we're super pumped to make that happen for you.
Yeah, awesome, guys. Well, have a fantastic week, whatever you're up to, and we will see you again right here next Monday. Bye.
Bye.